And then in the upper left-hand corner, you'll notice that a little record button lights up red, and that means you are recording the session, okay? So that's the first thing. I recommend recording so that just exactly that. So if there are people that can't make your session and you're talking about something important, maybe you're reviewing the assignments that are going to be posted in Google Classroom for the week and you're giving an explanation of how to do them, your students who can't make the Google Meet will be able to watch the recording and still get those very valuable instructions from you. Or for the student who just sits there and kind of listens and doesn't get it all and wants to go back and rewind and rewatch, or a parent maybe in some cases who's helping out their child at home can watch and get the instructions or the lesson or clarity. So I think it's a good idea to record the session. That's how you record it. So now I want to show you how you get this. It's called the Google Chrome Grid View so that you can see all of your students at once. And it's pretty easy. If you open up a new tab, you don't have to do it now, but if you open up a new tab and you go to the Google Chrome Web Store and you click on that, you will see right up here in the upper left, it says search the store. And if I type in Chrome Grid View, spelled Grid View, and actually I'm going to type in Chrome Meet because it's Google Meet Grid View and hit enter. We're going to have two choices here. One with 4 squares and one with 9, 3, 6, 9. We are going to choose the one that says 9. That's the one that I have installed. It works better than the 4, or at least I found it. Mine says rate it right now because I already have it installed. Yours will say add to Chrome. You would click on it and then you would say add extension, and it would take a second or two, and then you will see it added in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see here along, these are where all of your extensions are, and you'll see it added right up here. Then when you load Meet, you'll get this little bar right next to the person, the people icon, and you'll see this little 9 grid view here, and I'm going to go through all the options for you. One option is to only show participants with video, so that will exclude any participants who aren't broadcasting their video, and you'll only see the video pictures. You can check that box. I leave it unchecked because I like to see everybody that I have in one view, whether or not they have video or not. It also helps me select that person and mute their mic if I need to. So I leave that unchecked. The second one is to highlight speakers. That means whoever is talking will get a green box around them, and you'll be able to easily target who's speaking at a particular moment, especially if you have a large group like we have today. So I keep that one checked. The third option is to include yourself in the grid. I think it's a good idea to include yourself in the grid. That's part of the recording. Then students can see you speaking if you're speaking throughout the presentation, especially if you have it on grid view like this. So I have that. And the fourth option is to enable grid view by default. That means when I go into Google Meet, my grid view automatically loads. That's an option that I do have. And then down here, screen capture mode. Forces 16 by 9, disables names, locks videos in place. You could enable this if you wanted to get rid of, that would get rid of the name on the screen. So that could be good for privacy. Let's just say, yeah, see there? And it kind of forces a 16 by 9. That's kind of like a resolution mode, which I'm on my Surface, and that's how my Surface is set up anyway, but it might look a little different on a Chromebook. So you might want to play around with that and use that. But I like that it gets rid of the names, possibly for privacy purposes if you wanted to get rid of the names. I mean, hopefully by now we all know the names of our students when we see their faces. I don't know. For some of us, that might not be true, especially if we have 115 kids.
Some of us don't remember. It's been so long that we've seen.
That's true, Howard. We haven't seen them in so long, so we might have forgotten. So the names do come up if you don't have that enabled. I can see everybody's names, and I wanted to get to know everybody because I don't really know everybody from intermediate school just by a letter. Like Barry here just has her letter up. Elsa.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. How are you?
You know who I am if you see me. You know.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. Okay, so that's the easiest way. Now, I did create a video of this, which I will share with you. Let me just see if I included it. Oh, look, no, I did not. I did not include it, but I will share that with you afterwards via a link so that you don't have to remember how to get that grid view for your Google Meet meetings. Why do I like Google Meet over Zoom? I think in general, it's part of our Google family and we're all used to Google, and it's actually been integrated. It's integrated into Google Calendar as well as Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you today 3 different ways how to start a Google Meet meeting. One way will be an on-the-fly way, meaning you're not really scheduling it. You just want to start a meeting right away. The other 2 ways will be, well, one of the other ways will be scheduled. And then the third way could be either on the fly or scheduled, depending on how you set it up in your Google Classroom. So the first way I'll show you is to just do it like on the fly. And that would be if you just type in meet.google.com as your address. And that brings you to a little screen like this. And you'll see right here, there's a plus sign and it says join or start a meeting. So this would be if you just wanted to, if somebody else had scheduled a meeting, or if you wanted to quickly schedule a meeting. So right here, if you had been invited to a meeting and there was a nickname for that meeting, which I'll show you how to do that in a second, you would type, or your students would type that nickname right here and hit continue to join the meeting. Otherwise, you can schedule a meeting. So enter the meeting code or a nickname to start your own meeting, enter a nickname or leave blank. So I could say training or meet. That would be my nickname if I want. And then I would hit continue. And that meeting would start up right away. Now, I'm not going to start it because it's going to try to access my video twice, and I'm already on video with all of you. But I would just activate and test my microphone, my video, and then I would click join now right there. And then anybody else who wanted to join my meeting, I would just share this little nickname, Training for Meet, with no spaces. And they would simply go to meet.google.com, type in Training for Meet, which you could post in your Google Classroom if you wanted. You could share by email, and they would automatically have the option to join that meeting. That's a really quick way to do a Google Meet. It's an on-the-fly way. You do not have to schedule it ahead of time. So that's one way. The second way would be a little bit more detailed if you want to schedule your meetings. And this could be if you were doing something like office hours, maybe on Thursdays or Fridays with your students, where you kind of wanted to just have like a check-in day with your students where they can come in and ask questions, or maybe a share day. Maybe they're doing something at home. Let's say they were doing math, they're learning math, and you wanted to do math in everyday life, and you wanted them on Fridays to share a way that math shows up in everyday life while they're at home, kind of captive in their homes right now, and they can kind of look for that. So you could schedule that, and that would be by going to making sure you're logged into your Google account, which is your Gmail account, and you'll see your little icon. Mine is LFCMS, and then to the left of that, you'll see that I have these 9 dots, similar to the 9 dots that when I did the grid view up there, but it's different. It's down here. I'm going to click, and then I go to calendar, and my calendar loads. And then you simply search for the day that you want to schedule your meet on, and I'll just select tomorrow. And it'll bring up a little dialog box, but I like to go down here and select more options right away so that I get all of the options. And then up here, you would just type in the title for your meeting, whatever that is. And then here you select your date.
Excuse me, CM, when you got to the date, you just clicked on the date on the calendar?
Click anywhere on the calendar blank, and you get to adjust the date once you get in there. Even if you click on the wrong day, like you'll see here, I can select any day. I initially clicked on tomorrow, but if I don't want it tomorrow, I could select next week. So click anywhere on the calendar, and then that'll bring up the initial dialog box, and then click on the more options, and that will bring up this full amount of options for yourself. So here we have May 1st. I have it for tomorrow. I do not want it all day, so I'm going to uncheck that box. And then I have the option of saying when I want to start my meeting and when I would like to end my meeting on May 1st. If this was something that you were going to do on a weekly basis, like a check-in day every Friday, or a start the week day every Monday, or a midweek check-in on Wednesday, whatever you want to call it, you could come down here. Right now, my meeting does not repeat, but you do have other options. You could say, I'm going to meet every day, which I don't recommend because that's a lot. Weekly on a Friday, monthly on the first Friday. Like we have our rep council meetings on the third Thursday. I could schedule it probably some way custom by using custom on the third Thursday of every month. And once a year, every weekday, and then you do have custom options. So if you wanted to, you could click on custom and say repeat every 1 week on, here we go, Thursdays. So I only want to meet once a week on Thursdays, or only on this day, or after, and then you can say, how long does it end? How long is it going to go for? Is it never going to end? Will it end on a specific date, or will it end after 13, 2, 4, 6 occurrences, whatever you want? And then you would hit done. So that would be if you want something to automatically go on your calendar every single week. Now, down here, if you would like to, this is how we're going to add our Google Meet video conferencing right here where it says add Google Meet video conferencing. Select it, and then up to 250 participants through, I believe, September 30th can participate. Google Meet is typically only 25 students or people at a time for free, but they have raised it to 250 because of what's going on. So we're going to click on that little box. The conferencing has been added. And you can click on this down arrow to get all the details of the conferencing. And you could copy this information just like this, right click and say copy. And then you can paste this information if you would like in your Google Classroom as an announcement. You can paste all of that information, or I usually just paste the link right here, the meeting ID. I hit copy. And then I like to come over to, I'm not done with my meeting, but I'll show you in here. Come over to my classroom. And I'm going to click on my training classroom. I'm right here under my announcements. I'm going to share something with my class. I'll say class will meet tomorrow at 10:15. Use the link below to join our live lesson, period. And then right down here where it says add the little attachment in Google Classroom, I'm going to add a link, and then I Control V and paste my link. And then there's the link to my Google meeting, and I can post that. Now, let's say I only want to have this meeting with a small group of students. I only want maybe 5 or 6 students. I don't want all 25 or 30 of my students to come to this because I'm going to break it up into smaller groups. I can come over here to where it says all students. I can click on the check mark next to all students to uncheck everybody. And then I can come down and just check the students who I do want to come to my meeting and get the announcement. Only these 6 students that I have checked, once I post, would get the announcement with the link. No other students in my class would be invited to that meeting as a result. And then I would hit post. If I didn't want to post the announcement right away, I could schedule my post. Who has a question? Somebody have a question? No? Okay. I could schedule my post to go off on maybe, I recommend you schedule it a couple of days ahead so that they get a heads up, and then you can remind them, the day before. So, if I didn't want it to my meeting is for tomorrow, so I would post it today, but let's just say, I didn't want to post it until tomorrow. I could hit schedule and select a time that I wanted to post it. Otherwise, if I hit post right now, it will appear immediately in those 6 students' classrooms as an announcement there. So I come back to my meeting. I have my meeting ID, I have my date, I have my time. There is something else I can do down here where it says attachment. If you add any attachments to your Meet calendar event, they will be available for students to click on within your meeting. Now, I didn't add any to our meeting, but let's see here. I could add this attachment. I would hit select, see it here. And then let's say over here under guests, let's say you had a co-teacher and you were setting this meeting up. You could add your co-teacher right here. I could add Rob. And once I hit let me scroll back out, save, Rob would get a notice of this meeting via email, and he would be able to join the meeting from the email. So this is what you usually will do if you want to add all your colleagues and you're meeting with a bunch of your colleagues, maybe your team members, and you want to schedule a Google Meet. Type in all the names of your team members here, hit save, everybody will get notices, and then they'll be able to go to the notices and just click on the link and join the meeting, similar to how I guess all of you got notices when I sent it to the intermediate school as well. For students, I recommend just posting the link, but you could also type in student names here and add students, and they would get a notice via email. I don't know how many of your students check their email. I know our students were trying to get them to use their email more and more, and they have been during this time, which is great. So you could actually enter in your students' names there, and they would get an additional reminder in addition to the posting that you've done in Google Classroom. Once you're all finished, you would just simply hit save, and that calendar, that calendar Google Meet would appear on your calendar. You could see it set right there. If you needed to at any time go in, you could just click on that date and click on the little pencil icon, and you would be able to make any changes that you needed to make, and then hit save right there. Now that attachment is really important. When you are in training, I'll show you, once you open up your Google Meet, any attachments that you put in your calendar will appear right here in the lower left where it says meeting details. If you click on that arrow, this is all of your joining information. So if you started your meeting and you needed to give it to someone else, you could copy it and paste it into an email. You could paste it into the classroom, whatever you wanted to do. But then you'll notice right here, it says attachments right there. Google Calendar attachments show up here. So that attachment, if I had put it in our meeting, would have shown up right here. I don't know if I do that now, if it'll show up after the fact because we are already in the meeting. I could try that though. Let's just say I did put an attachment in for our meeting, 10:30. Oh, it might show up after. No, yeah, look here. I do have an attachment in there and I don't see it. That's strange. Should be in our meeting. I don't know why it's not there. I thought I put in an attachment. I'll have to look at that. Maybe I added it wrong, or maybe I didn't share it. If it's something from your Google Drive, it may ask you, do you want to share with everybody? And you would have to say yes. I might not have shared it, so that's why you're not all seeing it. That's possible. But that's, yeah, question?
When you set up the meeting,
yes,
does the person who gets invited, does it go into their calendar also?
So that is a good question. When I shared with you in the intermediate school, it was because I was not like part of your calendar group. It was not going to allow me to see your calendars. But like in the middle school, I think it is synced up because I'm a part of their calendar. So I think if you're sharing with your own group, you won't have a problem. That should happen. And yes, you can add it to your calendar. So when you get the invite through the email, you hit yes, and it will appear on your calendar. I, as the person organizing the event, though, I can't see your calendar. So whereas if we're in the same group and I'm in middle school, it'll tell me, oh, this person has usually it tells me like this person has a conflict or something like that. But our calendars aren't synced because you're an intermediate and I'm in middle. But it should go into yours. Now here, does everybody see this pop-up that just came up on my screen? It says XNG Flower outside Fort Lee Public Schools wants to join. I don't know who that is. I would probably say yes and figure it out. But this is why I like Google Meet, because in Zoom, anybody can join unless you set up a lot of protections while you're creating the meeting. And if you forget to do any of those protections, then somebody can come in and bomb your meeting. That can't happen in Google Meet, because only FLBOE people can go. And if they're not FLBOE, I will admit this person because I'm going to assume it's a teacher. But if not, I'll show you how I can get rid of that person. Let's see who it is that joins. And I said admit, so they should show up in our list here. Here we go. Let's unmute this person. Oh, I can't unmute them. Let's see. Fort Lee, outside Fort Lee Public Schools. So I don't know who this is. XNG Flower, can you identify who you are for us, please? Unmute your mic.
Now, can they type in who they are also?
They can in chat. Let's check the chat out. I'll bring the chat up. I do not see, let's see, XNG Flower. Do not see anything over here. Let's go to chat. Nope, no chat. So here's what I can do. I don't know who this is, and this person isn't identifying themselves right now, right? I admitted them. So I can come over here, and if I scroll down, oh, come on, my screen is stuck right here. There we go. If I scroll down, because they're at the bottom, right here, do you see where it says remove? There's a little negative line there. I can remove this person. So I'm going to give XNG Flower one more chance. The person who just joined, who I admitted, unmute your microphone, and could you tell us which teacher you are? No answer. So I am going to remove this person from our meeting because I don't know who that person is. And just like that, I had to admit them into my room, and I didn't plan this, so this is actually very good. I had to admit them into the room, and then when I saw that they weren't somebody that I thought should be in the meeting, all I needed to do was come over to the arrow, click on the minus sign, and then I was able to remove them from the room. That's a really good feature of Google Meet. You can do those things in Zoom, but remember, they're outside FLBOE. It's really hard to vet who they are because they're not part of FLBOE. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry,
Hi.
real quick. Zoom forces you to do the meeting room now so that you admit the person in
They
as
do.
well. Like the same as what you just did here. They
Yes.
force you to do the meeting room. So
Yes.
just so you know, like there is that safety precaution now.
Correct.
Let's say, Cian, you're having a class, you have all your students, and
Yes.
one is using vulgarity or doing something wrong.
You can remove that.
Remove them.
That's it. That's it. You set the rule. Now, what I recommend with this is you set the rules with your students, and you can do that. Last night on our group chat on my phone with some teachers, there were some nice Pinterest pictures showing kind of, and I can send out a couple that I think are neat, but they were nice because they were visual. They kind of just told students what to do and what not to do during a Google Meet or a Zoom type of meeting, that they needed to be paying attention. They should be sitting down. They should be, kind of like, their microphone should be on mute. They should raise their hand if they have a question. Some of those basic kinds of procedures and expectations. So if you do that before or during a first Zoom, maybe your first time a Google meeting or Zooming, whichever one you choose, and you set the expectations, at least students will know ahead of time the way that they should behave, because we can't assume that they know how to behave when you do this. They're probably going to come on. And I do recommend that at the beginning and at the end of the meeting, you allow them to kind of unmute their mics and kind of say hi to each other, kind of like when they come in the classroom and they're all talking to each other, and then you settle them down and you say, all right, everybody, please settle down. I'm going to be muting your mics. Now, there is no way within Meet that you can mute everybody's mic at once. There's no way to do that. And I haven't found, it has been requested of Google and they may add that feature, but it's not there as of yet. I know Zoom does have that feature where as they come in, they're automatically muted once they come into the room. So that is a different feature inside of Zoom. But it's very easy to mute somebody's mic, and you can just tell them to mute it. You can come over here and you can mute their mic if they haven't muted. I can't unmute somebody who has muted themselves, and I can mute somebody here. So if a person isn't muted, I can come over here to their microphone right in the middle of their name or on this panel and click on mute. Only Barry can unmute herself, though. I cannot unmute anybody. So I can mute people, but I can't unmute them. Chatting is over here in this window where it says chat. And this is a good place. I know a lot of you have co-teachers. I recommend if you do like a co-teaching session, one of you kind of oversees the chat while the other one oversees the actual meeting and instructions in the meeting. Because the chat, I know yesterday when I was doing a meeting, it got very busy with them talking and trying to answer questions. There were maybe like 50 questions there. And if I'm trying to do something, it might be difficult. So if you have two people in the meeting, somebody could be looking at the chat and answering those questions, and then the other person could be running the meeting. So that could be a good role. Like I know, Howard, are you a co-teacher in a classroom?
Yes, I am.
So you could be the chat person if you wanted to be, whereas the other person, and you could flip roles. Maybe one time you lead the meeting and then the other person does the chat, whoever's in the mood to talk and whoever's in the mood to type, I guess. You could kind of figure it out that way. But that might be a good way
Can I
to
ask a
provide.
question?
Yep.
I had a few teachers that had concerns about like being recorded, like a kid is
Okay.
recording your face and putting you out there to YouTube, distorting you, and there's not that comfort level. What do you feel about that?
Well, you know, could it happen? Yes. If it happens, you know, there could be repercussions, obviously. Just like if they record you secretly in class, you know, and they do something there. We've had students who have done that at the middle school and suffered some consequences. You know, I don't know how much distorting they're going to do with a little picture like this. I mean, yeah, I guess they could take me and make me all weird and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could do something bad like that. They could get your picture probably if they Google you. Most of us have pictures online anyway and distort you and put your, you know, head on some kind of weird body, I guess, if they wanted to as well. Maybe we could celebrate the artistic side of it. You know, I don't know what to say to that. I just know that we're not the only school that's doing these kind of live sessions. It's happening all over the country, probably all over the world, and definitely all over New Jersey. So I do think Google Meet is one of the safest places to do this kind of thing. As opposed to Zoom. I mean, Zoom has definitely put in a lot of those security protocols. Like Carrie said, it's automatically, you have to admit them one by one. But here it's kind of easy. I can tell, I knew all of you were FLBOE members right away. You were automatically in there. I didn't even have to like question it. There was one person that I had a question, that was it. So I just like it here. The other a positive side with this Google Meet as well, your chat, anything that comes up in your chat, you will get a copy of that transcript later on. That's automatically kept. So all the questions that your students might ask or anything, you'll have them later on. And if you wanted to post that chat, you could post that chat transcript as well. So that's kind of cool. We don't have anything going on in our chat right now, but at the end, I would get an email of any questions that were posted in the chat. So that's also neat.
Cian, can you
yeah.
turn the chat off if you don't want them chatting?
I do not believe you can turn the chat off. No, I do not believe you could. There's no way to really go in here and right click and say no chatting. Let me just say under here, under settings, there might be down here. Let's see. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go to these settings. I don't think so. Here it's just audio and video. Those are the only two options that you have, what microphone you want to use and you know, which camera you want to use. There really isn't anywhere that I found where chat goes on or off in that particular thing. Down here, I do want to show you though, if you're not using this grid view, you can change your layout by clicking on change layout. And you do have an auto option where it'll automatically pick a layout, or you can do a sidebar, a spotlight, which highlights the person who's kind of speaking, and then the tiled view. The problem with the tiled view, it doesn't really always show everybody. It has like a max of like 6 people. That's why I have the Google Meet grid view installed as an add-on, an extension, so that I can see everybody all at once. The other option you have is to turn on captions. So if you're projecting your screen to everybody and you turn on captions, this can be really helpful for any students. You'll see they appear at the bottom of my screen. And this can be helpful for any students who maybe have any hearing impairments. They can actually read what's going on at the bottom of the screen. And it's pretty accurate to what I'm saying. You don't have to speak very slowly. I speak very quickly and it's still catching my speech. And so at least students can follow along that way. Captions, however, are not recorded in the video. So when you do the video playback, it is not recorded so that the students do not see the captions. However, if you were to take your video, and this would be a little bit more advanced, and upload it to YouTube, you could, anybody in YouTube, on any YouTube video, there is a way to activate captions in that. And I know students who are hearing impaired have knowledge of this because we have someone in our school who uses the captions in YouTube. So when they play a video, if you have a question about that, I can always show you how to do that another time as an outside. But this is a nice little feature that you can turn on and off. And you can do it also here with a button that says turn off captions very easily right down there. Other things. So let me show you in Google Classroom what's a new neat feature that came out a little bit over a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. If you go into, I'm going to discard that, a Google Classroom, you can activate a permanent link if you would like. Each classroom has a permanent Meet link that's embedded now into Classroom. And the way you see that link and activate it is right up here in the gear icon in your classroom. If you click on that icon and you come down, you will see right here, Meet. Classroom now supports Meet. Generate a Meet link. And you click on that button, and this is your Meet link for this classroom. And you have a toggle right here, and that's if you want that Meet link to be visible to students. So I'll show you what that looks like. If we hit save, you have to hit save. And then if we come back to our classroom, now underneath the title, grade, and code, we have a Meet link. This is a permanent Meet link. And if we click on that Meet link, it brings us right to our customized meeting for that specific classroom. So that's kind of an on-the-fly meeting link that's available all the time. Now, let's say you do not want students can jump in and out of this Meet link regardless of whether you're in there or not. I did test it with a sample student. So if this Meet link is here, they could technically go into that classroom and meet with their friends in that link, whether or not you're in the meeting. If you do not want that to show in your classroom, then I recommend you keeping it not visible to students. You still have the Meet link that you can copy and paste, or you can toggle this on and off. Let's say you're having a meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can toggle the meeting. You can set an announcement and say, come to classroom at 10 in the morning, and click on the Meet link at the top of our classroom and toggle it on maybe at like 10 to 10. So you can play with that. Or you could just copy the link and paste that and not save it. I'll save it so that you don't see it. So now I have the link copied, and I can just share that and paste that link right under here where it says add link, paste the link, and then type an announcement and say, please meet with our class at 10 o'clock, follow the link below right here. And it would be that permanent link. If at any time you want to change that link, you want to reset the link, you would just click right here and click on reset, and it would generate a new link for your class, so that if you had posted that link in your classroom and you didn't want students using that link anymore, you could generate a new one. So that's the embedded part of it being in Google Classroom now, where it will appear right underneath here, and you get to that through the settings, coming down, activating your link, and making sure it does say visible to students and saving it. And then the link does appear right here in the classroom. So that's another new feature that Google has added so that it's embedded into your classroom. The video recording quality, we were talking yesterday, because I've done quite a few of these in both Zoom. I usually use Zoom with teachers. I'm not using it now because I'm showing you a video on this. But if I'm doing adults, I'll use Zoom. Like when we have our flea meetings, we do a Zoom meeting. But I do like the recording quality of Hangouts much better. It does come in a nicer size. And it just looks a lot better. And somebody else yesterday tried one of their lessons or one session in Zoom and one in Hangouts, and they liked the recording quality in Hangouts as well. So play around with it. Also, I think that Google products have been board approved officially, whereas I really haven't found that while Ken and Jason have written a lot of stuff about, Zoom, I haven't seen it on a board agenda yet that it's approved as like a part of something that we should be using. So, I mean, could we get in trouble for using it? Probably not, because everybody's using it, as well as, the Board of Education. So if that's your preferred choice, then use Zoom. I just happen to think that Meet is a little bit better in the sense that it is part of our Google suite of products. What else did I want to tell you? When you are, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question about recording.
Sure.
Who gets a copy of the recording? Only
I was just going, you were like reading my mind, Miss Jenna. I was just going to say, when you are finished, okay, with this, you are going to stop your recording at the end, and you will receive a copy of your recording in the email. You'll get an email saying your recording is available. Even if you you didn't see that email, it automatically goes into, and I'll show you in my Drive. I have a folder that's created automatically, and it's called my Google Meet folder. I don't know the exact name, but if I type in Google Meet and I hit enter, there should be a folder. Let's say, oops, let me go to my Drive. My Drive. I have to be in My Drive. It should be in here. Google Meet. Let's see. Where is it? I have way too much stuff. It does get saved here. You can see these are my Google Meets. Let's see here. Google Meet training. Let's just look here and see if I could see the location. View details. Here we go. Okay, so details, type video. Here we go. Location, Meet recordings. So if I type in Meet recordings up here, you could see it right there. There we go. So that folder is housing all of my Meet recordings right here automatically. So you will also get an email. The other thing, if you do it on the calendar, it will get added to your calendar at the end. So what's really cool, we have our meeting here, right? Right here, I could see how a little video icon. This is one that I added as an attachment, but if you come in here, once this is done and the time has passed, my meeting is ended at 11:30, a few minutes later, you'll see a link right here in my Google Calendar. I like doing my meetings in calendar because it's kind of my evidence. It's keeping track of, I have a lot that goes on in my calendar, but it keeps track of all of my meetings and it kind of shows, hey, I held a meeting once a week. Here they all are. Here's my recording of my meeting. It's just like another place. I mean, I'm a media specialist, so I like organization and cataloging. It's another place where my meeting is kind of kept. It's cataloged and I can access it. So you can get it from your email. You also get it from the rest of the participants won't get it unless you share it with them. So you get it as the owner of the meeting, and then you have to share it out. So once you have that meeting, you can easily go to your classroom and you can create, an announcement right here and add a copy of the meeting by going to your Google Drive, going to My Drive, and then searching for that meeting. What did it say? Google Meet, and mine was a Google Meet training, and clicking on that, and then the training would be there, and then you could post it. If you wanted it to go to all students, if you didn't want it to go to all students, you could, select only certain students. So that's where the meeting goes when you're all done. When you're ready to stop presenting or recording, you would come up here, the three dots, come up top and go stop recording right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, one more question, because I'm just nervous about Google Meet more so than Zoom. And my question is, I heard or I read somewhere that if Google Meet, if a kid comes in before you, they have ownership of the recording, and then the recording goes to them, not you. Did you hear any of that?
I did not hear that. So meaning if they come into your meeting before you,
yeah.
Meaning they start the meeting?
I guess. I'm not or maybe it had to do with the Google Classroom, but I'm just concerned about the security features, I guess, behind Google.
Let me see here. Google Meet. Let me see here. Ownership. Now, that might be true if you do the Fly meeting. That's possible. But I don't believe that's true if you do it on the calendar.
Okay.
Because let's see here. Because I'm the owner. You know why? Because it's on my calendar and I'm the owner of that meeting. It's on literally when you go into my calendar. You all were here in my meeting ahead of time, right? I came in.
I wasn't.
I came in after all of you, and I should be the one that gets the recording. I haven't had a problem with any of my other meetings, coming in, other people getting my recording. So let me know afterwards if you're the owner of my recording. That would be odd. You know what I mean?
Right.
That may happen. Let me just look here. That might happen if you do one of those on the fly ones. Let's see, Google Meet ownership. I'm just looking here. Just click change owner, enter email the person you would like to transfer ownership, and send the message. Open up the event. That's a Google Calendar event, but I'm the calendar owner. Manage Meet video settings. Let's look here and see that, because there might be a way you can manage that in your Google. Let's see. Client logins, recording. Let people record now they can record their own meeting. On your end, you each have the option to record as well. And that would save to your Google Drive. Let's see, turn recording on or off for Meet. You can actually turn that off. Stream, let people stream. Default video, you could set the default. Let me just see here on this one. Let's see here.
I don't want to take up all the time. I'll look and see if I can find it, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send me what you have, because I haven't heard that yet. To apply the setting, there is a setting here in the admin console. We could probably get rid of students under the admin side, like on Jason's side, allowing them to even do recordings. I could ask them about that, changing that. Because there's some settings that on the admin panel, like with Jason from Google G Suite admin side, he can allow or not allow certain things. So it's possible that students have that allowed on there, and maybe he can uncheck that, and then they wouldn't even be able to get a recording or do that. They would just be able to view it if you shared it with them, that kind of thing. But I would have to ask him about that. Find what you found about that. But I haven't found that with my meetings yet that I've done. But I schedule all of mine in calendar as opposed to doing the on-the-fly meeting. And that might be why. Maybe the person on an on-the-fly meeting who owns the meeting is the first person to get into the meeting. Whereas I know I'm the owner of the meeting because I'm doing it through calendar, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on my calendar. It's my meeting. It's on my calendar. Yeah. Good
Hi.
question.
So I don't know if anyone else has trouble. I was not able to get on any of the Zoom meetings. I mean, Mr. Berman tried to hold one and Mrs. Giacomelli. And both times, I don't know if it's from my end because the computer I have at home I always did my work at school. So this computer is somewhat limited. I don't know if it's my firewall. What do you suggest I do? I was not able to get into any of the Zoom meetings so far.
But you're able to get into all the Hangout meetings.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're able to enable your camera for Hangout meetings and your microphone for Hangout meetings if you want to, correct?
Yes.
Correct. That's odd. I don't know why that would be happening with Zoom as opposed to I would assume if you could get in a Hangout, in a Meet, that you would be able to get into a Zoom meeting. I mean, they're not that different, as Carrie's pointed out. They're very, very similar. So I don't know why that would be happening with a Zoom meeting.
All right. I'm just wondering if you had any troubleshooting.
I can look into it for you. Let me look into
What's
that
that?
for a little bit, and I can get back to you regarding like why that might have. I could give you some reasons why that might have happened.
Yeah, I did a search, and there's something to do with, it might be from my end, like the firewall protection, but who do I go to,
Your firewall protection would be you and whoever you live with and set up firewall. Most of us don't have firewall protection at home. I don't necessarily. The only firewall protection you probably have at home is the password to your, Wi-Fi. That's all I have at and I live with a tech guy. I mean, I guess I don't really have firewall going on there. I just have my Wi-Fi password, my networks that I can sign into. Other than that, as long as you're signed in and you're on the internet and you have your microphone activated and you have the correct Zoom link, you should be able to click on that Zoom link and go to join that Zoom meeting.
All right.
Unless for some reason Zoom is asking for, I don't know if it wants like some kind of maybe pop-up, maybe you have pop-ups disabled and Zoom is a pop-up. That's possible, Elsa. That you're up here, like when you click down here, right? Check to make sure that pop-ups are allowed. If you don't, Zoom I know does do kind of like a pop-up. And that might not be allowed, and that might be a reason why you're not being able to get into the meeting.
All right, I'll keep playing with it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
try pop-ups, though. That might be it. Does anyone else have any questions at this point? I know Carrie's like the expert on doing flipped classrooms. You can also use Meet for doing screencasts. So if you did not want to, there's plenty of programs out there. I did a whole training on WeVideo, where you can record your screen as we're doing now, and then you can it brings it right into WeVideo, which is a great program, and it allows you to edit it and add like a little text in the beginning and all of that. But if you just wanted to use Meet for your screencasts, you don't want kids in there, you could start a Google Meet and just start recording, share your screen right here. It says you are presenting. If I wasn't presenting, it would say present now. I would click right here. And then I would just start talking, and I would be the only one in the meeting. I would share my screen, and I would go and do whatever I want. When I'm done, I would stop my recording. That would be it. I'm sharing my screen. I'm recording my screen. I don't have anybody else in my meeting. And now it becomes a screencast, and I'm basically just showing people what's going on. So if you're uncomfortable with students actually interacting with you live, you can do it that way, where you're just recording a lesson. And you don't even necessarily have to show your face other than in the beginning. Maybe if you want to say, hi kids, I'm here. And now I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use whatever it is, IXL Math, or I'm going to read a book to you on Epic Books or whatever, you know, maybe you're reading a book in class and you want to read a chapter to them. You would just open a new tab, go to that particular PDF of the book, whatever the book is, Huckleberry, I don't even know. And just open the book up and, you know, go to the particular chapter and start reading the book with your students. And all they're going to see is exactly what you're seeing now, the book, they'll hear your voice. And then when you're all done, you would come back over to your Google Meet and you could stop your recording. So you can use it even to just do a screencast, and that recording would be saved, and then you could post that recording in Google Classroom. So anybody who's, Howard, you have a question?
By not turning on your video, correct?
You can also not turn on your video, right? I can turn my video off at any time if I want. Right here, I have these options at the bottom. I can turn my microphone off by clicking there, and I can turn my video off by clicking right here. So you could have your video off. You could come into your Google Meet. You can present your screen and then record. And then you could say, hey, kids, I'm here. You can't see me, but I'm here. And today I'm here to talk about this. And then go and use the internet, whether it's a whiteboard kind of a thing. I know in math, maybe you want to demonstrate a problem, or you could open up your program. What's the name of the program that you all use in math to do that?
In the middle school, they use Easy Teach.
Oh, Easy Teach. That's what
we don't use it in the intermediate school.
Okay, so whatever it is, bring up your math book, or I'm sure you have like a whiteboard, you know, that you can bring up on here and just start demonstrating your problem, and they don't even need to see your face. So if somebody, Angela, in answer to your question, is worried about seeing a face, but still wants to deliver some kind of a lesson other than just posting materials into a classroom, because remember at this point, I know Mr. Rhoda's feeling is he's not demanding that you teach all of your lessons live or anything. He just wants some kind of connection with the students. Remember, a lot of these students, you know, they actually probably still at the 5th and 6th grade, they probably do miss you. Like some of the little kids. Some of the older kids maybe don't really care as much, but I'm sure they do miss that daily interaction with their teachers. And it's nice for them to see the teacher once in a while, or at least connect with the teacher. There is a third option, which I don't really share too much with too many people. When you're doing your meetings in Calendar, and I'll show you what that is, or a fourth option, if you really want to call it a fourth option. I'm in February, wrong month. April. Okay, so here's my meeting. If I come into here, there's something called live streaming in here. Add live stream. Live streaming is kind of like one way. So you're talking live to the students and they're just watching. They're not actually in the meeting the way we are now interacting. So Carrie, in answer to your question, if you didn't want chat or anything like that, you could just do a live stream of your lesson. It's almost like video gamers use live streaming all the time, where they're like, you know, playing their video game and streaming themselves out to the internet, and they have like millions of people, if they're really good, watching them. But the people who are watching on these live streams, they usually have a chat feature, but they're not interacting with them live like we are, where we can talk and mute and unmute and do all of that. It's kind of one way. I'm broadcasting out and everybody's just kind of looking in at me. I think the chat feature might still be enabled. I'm not sure. Let me test it on there. I haven't done a live stream yet. Let me see what that is. So here, it's a different link to invite people to watch the live stream, save this event, and create here it is, view only copy. That's what it is. It's view only. So they are viewing, they are not in the live meeting. So that's another option. You don't have the interaction that we're having now, but they are seeing you live. Or you could just record your video, your meeting as well, as I said. So there's a lot of options for you. What are some ways you think you might have a question?
Sam?
Yeah. Yes.
Where is the whiteboard? Back when I thought I didn't realize my mic was off again. Where is the whiteboard? So when you're presenting, you can put do the work, let's say for math, so the children can see.
If you go type in whiteboard online, there's like a ton of them you can use here. Ziteboard, online whiteboard with real-time collaboration, web whiteboard, I mean, if you click on any of these, Carrie, you have one that you use
Barry,
online that you
Barry, I use Smart Notebook right now, and you can get it for free online on your own device. I haven't, because it's free online, I haven't reached out because I know the district has it. But basically, you can take Smartboard and put it on your computer, and then you can also click. There's a feature on there that has transparent, and you can click that, and it will show like anything that you already have done, like a PowerPoint, and you can write all over it and record
Nice.
yourself. That's what I end up doing.
There you
Okay.
go. Smartboard notebook right here. Smart notebook.
Yeah, and I download that for free.
Oh, okay, okay.
Excellent.
But I want to say my free trial is almost up because I downloaded it in the beginning when this all happened, so I feel like it's
Okay.
almost up.
Okay. They do offer a basic version, Smart Notebook 19, current version, Smart Notebook 18, discontinued. They're always updating it. As you can see, it's probably like a 20-year-old software. Every year they update it. I know we have a couple of licenses. They're pretty expensive. It's annoying.
Mhm.
They don't give you a
But
I
it's
love
free
the
right
software
now.
is Great. The software is great. Smart Notebook is great software. I've always liked it. They have a lot of features. Expense wise, it's always annoying because they charge per computer, per license, as opposed to me saying, I want like a site license for the intermediate school, meaning every teacher gets access to the software. But you could probably get that Smart Notebook. I mean, that's great. And they do give training and all of that. But I think I agree with Carrie. I think that's a good piece of software. But there is other software out there. If you just do a Google search and you just kind of pick anything that's out there, you'll get like a smart, you'll get a whiteboard available to you that you can kind of write on. Carrie, what computers do you have there? What do you have? You have a Chromebook or you have a Surf? Like
I have nothing from the district. I use my own computer because
What
once
about
I
everything
moved to the
else?
intermediate school, they took my Surface got
I took
taken,
it.
and yeah.
Terrible
And so
because
now
you-
I just have my own computer, and I bought a little tablet that I use to write on, like a pen that activates on the screen because my computer is not a touch screen.
So do you plug your little tablet into your computer so that you use it?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it plugs in, so it acts like your mouse, and you can write with it.
Excellent. Okay. All
Um,
right. And what about everybody else? What do you all use? Did the district give you Chromebooks? Do you have Chromebooks or you have your own or what do you have? Just curious.
Some people have Chromebooks from schools, but nothing's
Okay.
given out this year.
Yeah, so the Chromebook is kind of limited in what you're able to do. You don't have touch or anything. I did recommend that when Jason was purchasing the last round of Chromebooks, at least for the teachers, and I'll bring it up again, there is a touch Chromebook that allows you to write right on the screen with the Chromebook. While we may not be able to get that for students because replacement of those screens and students crack the screens all the time, I think that should be the minimum for teachers, that teachers get at least touch. Because that would avoid, Carrie having to purchase her own computer and then a peripheral device, for writing in there as well. I don't know what Rob's plans are for your school as far as technology goes, but I can ask him, and see if the more you use it, the more likely it is that you'll get a technology that's better. That's all I can say. So if you embrace the technology, then it's more likely that maybe you'll get even something better than a Chromebook. I mean, I would advocate for something better than a Chromebook for you all. Absolutely, because Chromebooks are limited in what they're able to do. I mean, we have at the middle school, we have Surfaces, but I can tell you right now, Carrie, you wouldn't be very happy with the Surfaces. They all ran out of memory when Windows 10 did the more recent updates. They don't have enough memory anymore. So there was a lot. Frankie and I spent days like wiping and doing and trying to delete profiles, and they're still with like minimal amounts of memory. So we're actually looking to update those as well coming soon because they're almost 8 years. They were over 7 years old already, the Surfaces. So, we'll see if we do update and I have Surfaces and I have Surfaces that I can hand out. I'll gladly hand them out. But I'll also mention to Rob and see what he says about technology because you shouldn't have to buy your own device, to do what you need to do.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Cian. Thank you.
Hi.
I was going to ask you about the recording, the pre-recording. Yeah. Do you have to share your screen? Let's say I just wanted to do a pre-recorded lesson. Do you think that Google Meets is the best avenue? I know there's a lot of different programs to be able to record. But what if it was just a pre-recorded to post on your stream?
Yeah, like what are you trying to record, Rita? You just want to record?
Let's say I just teach a lesson and I just wanted to post it. And
I mean, are you teaching the lesson so that your camera is, you're focusing on your hands, like you're doing something with your hand and recording your hand doing something, or you're going to show something online on a website and teach that way?
No, let's say I have a whiteboard with me, an actual whiteboard, so actually teaching it with my hand and me in it. Yeah.
Your hand. So I don't know, your phone might be the best thing to use for that, just because in setting up the camera, I don't know how your camera.
Wait, phone you said?
Your phone might work best.
Phone. Oh, yeah.
Phone.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if you're using your hand and paper, actual physical items, I know some teachers are doing that rather than an electronic whiteboard that you're going to use. Then the Chromebook might be a little awkward with the camera and setting it up. If you could set the camera up correctly so that it sees your hand, then you can use Google Meet, you can use WeVideo, you can use Screencastify. I have that as an extension. I pay out of my money. It's like $40 a year. It's like nothing. But that it gives you a lot more features than the free version of it. Screencast-O-Matic. I mean, there's a million of them that are out there. So it's really personal preference. Or you could simply just set your phone up so that it's recording and you can kind of go from there and just upload the recording of that. You're not really screencasting at that point. You're just recording what you're doing with your phone. Carrie, I think you started with your flipped classrooms doing stuff like that many moons ago with you at your whiteboard in front of your classroom, right? And
I do that. And I even do that now for some science stuff or some science labs. I just put my phone up, or I have one of my kids holding it, and I'm doing a lab and showing them a video lab. And all of these, like a lot of the ones that Cian just mentioned, you can choose how you want to see. You can show them just the computer too. Yep. They don't see your face at all. You can choose to have your face the entire screen. You can choose just to have a little piece on the computer. Yeah. So right now I teach via video. So I teach the lesson and I put it on Google Classroom and they can watch it whenever they want. And I do live calls with them and just kind of review, because not all kids can get on the live to learn the lesson.
Right.
So I guess when I'm working with math and not having the pen carry like you do, I guess I would need to order something along those lines, because I don't know if me using a mouse and trying to write numbers, signs,
definitely not.
Definitely not going to work at all. No. That's not going to work, Rita, at all. You definitely would need that input pen or whatever. That's why I really, I'll have a conversation with Rob, and just even for you all, like Jason they order Chromebooks every year. I just feel like at minimum, a Chromebook with touch, or even if not, then a better laptop with touch. Doesn't have to be, I don't recommend even the middle school isn't even getting new surfaces going forward. We're going to do something. I mean, they love the surfaces, and it's probably going to be an adjustment, but teachers are just as clumsy as students, unfortunately. And surface screens are expensive to fix. So we're probably going to go with something different at the middle school going forward. Still going to have touch and be like a tablet and go back and forth. But it's hopefully will be a little more durable if it gets dropped by a teacher, because we did have a number of teachers who broke their surfaces. A couple of teachers did it multiple times. Not mentioning any names, not Carrie, of course. Carrie is
I definitely did it.
What? Oh, you did it? Not multiple times though.
No, I never did it.
Oh, you never did. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You've been good. But no, a couple of the younger newbie teachers, kind of like maybe still connected to their childhood years, have broken their surfaces multiple times. Kind of funny. But not funny when I don't have a replacement for them, and then they go to a Chromebook and they're like, oh no, I can't do anything with this Chromebook. So yeah, I'll definitely put in a word with Rob and see what we can do about maybe upping that. I don't even know where we're going to be in September at this point. I'm a little concerned. I'm anxious to see what Governor Murphy says about the rest of the year. And then I'm just anxious to see what would happen in September, because planning needs to happen whether we go in or we're not going in. Either way, there needs to be some heavy duty planning. if we were going in and how social distancing could be kept, because the disease, the virus isn't going away magically by September, as far as I know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting ride over the next few months. How do you all see yourselves using this particular, like, Google Meet? Like, as what? How might you use it with your students? Anybody have a suggestion?
It just seems more user friendly than Zoom. I'm just based off of I've been using Zoom with one-on-one sessions. But in the sense that sometimes, like, there's issues with students connecting, and I don't know if Elsa's this is something similar to Elsa's. I have one student, actually 2 students, messaged me asking me if I've blocked them, because it says an admin needs to, and I've never blocked them. So
Right.
it's like 2 of them wrote, and they were very similar messages in separate times. Something along the lines of, let me see here. It said, Zoom says that the account admin won't allow me to chat and my friends don't see the invite to the meeting. Are they using my meeting ID here in order to talk to each other?
Yeah, I just want to say that something similar, that's what came up to mind. It says you have to be admitted into the meeting. And
Yes.
then I sent an email to whoever was, why am I not being admitted into the meeting? So I don't know what that was about.
I think what happens to me in Zoom sometimes when I'm on the main screen, and Carrie can probably comment, they come in and they're almost like knocking on the door. Maybe you're started the meeting and they're knocking on the door. And if you don't see that knock, they're kind of hanging out there because you didn't admit them. Like, you didn't notice, like, it gets very busy once the meeting starts. So you're agreeing, right?
It's really hard as the meeting person to always see the participants. So I finally figured that out, like, how to have that window off to the side. But there could be kids sitting there for a minute or two before I even realize that I have to, because that's their new feature, they won't let you in unless you're admitted.
Yeah, it's a little annoying.
So it's hard to see.
The other thing in Zoom is it comes up like, go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? So that came up, because that's what happened to me both times. I was there early, and of course I couldn't get in because nobody was there. I tried so hard to get there early so this wouldn't happen. And then once I did everything right, it was prompting me. And that's when that came up, that was the barrier, that I needed to be, the admin needed to admit me. And I guess is that something from their end then?
That means you're perfect and you're just waiting for them to click admit you. So you were totally fine.
Oh.
You just had to stay there and wait longer, and eventually they'll admit you. It's something on their end.
Maybe that makes sense because it's new to them also. So maybe they didn't realize that they had to, I don't know, because I waited like 20 minutes. I waited.
It's probably because they were new to it as well and didn't see it. And once you get underway in your meeting, you're like trying to juggle all these different things. It's really hard to see the participants.
Oh, so hopefully next time it'll work. Okay, thank you. That gives me insight. Thank you.
The other thing in Zoom, like here, Zoom puts this, like Carrie said, you can kind of move it around with the participants. Sometimes I find it gets in my way when I'm moving around. Do you notice that, Carrie? It's almost like this, I'm like, leave me alone,
Yeah, it's in my way.
That's really annoying. What I like about the Meet is, you can see here, if you go and watch what I do, I'll do it again. If you come to the top of your bar here and you just go to like not one of the tabs, but one of the colored, solid part, and I'm just clicking and dragging over. I can drag over to one side and I can drag another window here. And you can do this on a Chromebook. I do it all the time for the kids. You can drag left and right, and I can have my participants over here, and now I can resize my windows. Okay, so now I see all of you here, and I have my window that I'm teaching with over here. I showed this to a teacher who was doing little reading conferences. She was having groups of students, and they were going to be practicing their fluency and reading out loud. And she was going to be reading part of the book, and then they were going to be reading part of the book. And however, it was going to go back and forth. But she wanted to be able to see her students while kind of doing the interactive book on the other side. And it worked out really well with separating her screen like this. In Zoom, you can do that, but it's like it puts this thing on top, and sometimes I just find it gets in the way. That's all. I mean, either one, whatever's going to work for you. I recommend you just record the meeting, have evidence of the meeting, and if there's any problem with a student misbehaving, you have evidence of the misbehavior as well, that kind of thing there. But
Leanne, I have one more question.
Sure.
I've also heard that if you're not the last one to leave as the organizer, because like on Zoom, you click end meeting and you can
Yes.
end the meeting for everybody and it's final.
Yes, that's correct.
In Google Meet, kids can just stay in and for as long as
They
they
can.
want.
They can. They can stay in. But once I kind of wait until everybody's gone and then I end the meeting. That's usually the way I do it. There is a way. I'm trying to think the other day when I looked it up. If you wait, if you're the organizer of the meeting and you start the meeting, it ends. I have it ending at 11:30. I don't think they can get back into the link. The link does die. In other words, the link expires. It's not there forever. But I usually just wait, till everybody's done and kind of exits out, goodbye, 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 and then I end the meeting and I'm done and it's over. Howard, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, I do.
It popped up very nicely, Howard. I was able to see that, and you can see
I
I'm
wanted to try it. I
Go
do
ahead.
have a question. How come Skype isn't being used? So I've used Skype for a few years, but is it for more one-on-one and not for a big group?
Yeah, I'm not sure it is for big group. They might have answered your own question. And I don't know. Skype just isn't integrated as well. I don't think it is. I mean, you could do a Skype session, I guess. Zoom is just like, I've used Zoom way before all of this happened. Whenever I had meetings, I used Zoom, and Google Meet kind of has stepped it up during this. And I just use Meet a lot more now because it is integrated into our, Google kind of suite and all of that stuff. And I feel like technology has some control over it. But I don't know why Skype hasn't stepped up and we haven't heard more from them. Maybe it is because they don't have the capabilities for as many groups, large groups to meet. Typically, Skype was used for like if you have a lot of people in one place and another group in another place and then another group, but I don't know what the max is for the number of participants in Skype. Maybe it's not as large as what Google Meet or Zoom is allowing right now.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody have any ideas that they want to share how they would use something like this? I know in one of the elementary schools, one teacher is using it on Mondays to go over the week's assignments, just to kind of have like a little check-in. Another teacher is using it like on another day of the week to share, where students get to there'll be a small group of students who will share their writing from that week. They do like weekly writing, and it was little kids, so their writing isn't very long. It might be like a paragraph. So they're reading like their paragraph for the week. So maybe like 4 students will share their writing and the others will listen. And then the next week, another group of students will share, and she's going to do that like once a week as her once a week check-in. So the message I had gotten from Mr. Rhoda after asking for clarification, because in the elementary schools, I know they were very, very nervous about, they don't have a lot of access to technology and they don't really use a lot of technology down there to begin with. So they were a little, hesitant with it. And they didn't want to be responsible, obviously, for getting online live every day and teaching. I mean, Carrie's like probably doing something very similar to that, live teaching all the time, but not everybody's up to doing that. And I don't recommend that you have to do that. So he was looking for like some kind of like check-in with the students once a week where you're checking in and the kids could actually see your face. And if you're a newbie and you're just starting out, that could be recorded and you don't feel comfortable with live, try recording a screencast or something. And then when you get comfortable, try the live meet just to check in and say hi to each other and, how are things going? And, it doesn't even have to be an academic lesson, so to speak, if you just want to check in with them. If you want to go all in and just do a lesson, I can tell you right now at the middle school, they've been using it and they're using it more and more, and they have kids. When they put it out there to 120 kids that they have, they maybe have like 10 kids that show up, at the middle school level. It might be different at intermediate. But once they hit middle school, the kids are sleeping and they're working. A lot of them are working at like 12 o'clock at night as opposed to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So if they schedule a meeting at 11 o'clock, a lot of those kids are still sleeping. So my recommendation to you is schedule it early in the morning if you don't want a lot of kids to come. If you want a lot of kids to come, schedule it a little bit later and you might get a larger group coming to your sessions. That would be my recommendation. Anybody else?
Guys, just some other things that you can do that I've been doing just to throw out there, because I don't teach the lesson on a live. I only do review with them just because they don't all show up.
Right.
So what I have been doing is I'll play like quizzes online with them, or Quizlet live, or I'll play like the games that I would have played in the classroom. You can still play that. And they just open up a second tab and they can be playing while the live is going on.
Just like we had here, as we have our Google Meet on this side, right? And then they can come over here and go to, what's some of the ones that you use for the games, Carrie? You like the
Quizlet.
What's the other one that's really fun? Where
Kahoot, quizzes,
yeah, that's the one.
Gimkit.
Yeah, so they can go to Kahoot over here and, play be on Kahoot.
And then we're not like teaching the whole time. Like you're just helping to facilitate a game, and they're just practicing and things like that too.
Yeah, I definitely, and if you're not familiar with Kahoot, it's so easy to do. You basically enter in some questions from the teacher's side. The kids get a PIN number, they enter, and then the game starts, and it's got all the bells and whistles and countdowns and lights and, all of that stuff. So, the kids like that. So you can do that. I know in our school, Anthony Joya held as a fun thing. He's a music teacher, and he did a game night last week where they played, I forget what game it was. I wasn't able to join. I'm going to try and join his next one. But he did get a game night, and a bunch of kids came and they played a game online. And it wasn't a video game. It was some other kind of game. So that was kind of cool. Just kind of put it out there so they have that social emotional kind of connection with their, the teachers, and see some other face other than their parents that they're probably getting sick of by now. It might be nice for them to see you all, because believe it or not, I think I had an interesting text from in our group chat. One of the students said, the teacher asked, what are you more appreciative of now that we're, in quarantine and all of this? And they said their teachers. They were much more appreciative of all the hard work that teachers put in for them. And they, really missed that interaction with their teachers. I thought it was such a nice little post that they had in their Google Classroom that was saying how many of the kids really miss all of you and everything that you do in the classroom every single day. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, all that will end when they see us again. Then 10 minutes later.
Of course, but I think they'll be forever changed, and maybe a little bit more appreciative of things. Oh, look at that baby jumping. No more monkeys jumping on the bed. I love it. That is so cute. That's her newest little one. He's so cute. Oh my God. Yeah. So, well, if you have any questions or you need any help at all, I'll share this video, of course. And if you have any additional questions, just let me know. And if you needed training in anything else, any other programs that you want training in, just let me know, and I can, hold a session as well. I like doing these things. It's keeping me busy as well on my end. It's different from me doing just Chromebooks all day, thank God. And so I'm enjoying it from my end, working.
Cian?
Yeah, Elsa.
I think Bessie had a question about the splitting the screen, which
I'd like you to do that. I'll show you, Bessie. It's easy. So up top, can you see up top here on my bar, like where all my tabs are?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go right, you see the X, this empty space here. And if I get rid of some of my tabs, I'll get some more empty space. So I'll get rid of some of these. So you can kind of say, you get rid of this junk here. Leave. All right, so let me come back over here. Right here, if I left click with my mouse, left and hold, watch, see how I drag my window around? So now I'm just going to snap it. You'll see pink that's going on in the back of my screen. Now my screen is snapped on that side. And then I can pull out, if I want one of these tabs, let's say I want my calendar tab, click on it, left click on the tab and just pull it out and it'll come over here.
I see.
And now I have you on my one side and I have my calendar on the other side. And I can do that. And I can add more tabs over here. So this is nice. You can see your students over here. And if I need to adjust, I can only make this so small because I have a bunch of participants, but here you go. So now you're smaller over here. And now I have more of my presentation screen over here. And this should kind of auto adjust. I have a lot of people in here. It takes a minute. And then over here, I have my screen that I'm presenting, so I can kind of see my participants and see my screen at the same time. And then if I want to go back to full participant view, I come up here to the left of my X and I click on that. And now you're all back in the main window again.
And in order to share the screen, you have
Yep.
to push the
Right down here.
lower right down there, right?
You are right. You are
Okay.
presenting, and it would say present now, and you would just click present now right here. And to
So do you-
record,
Mhm.
record, go to the three dots,
Mm-hmm.
and right up here is the recording.
Okay. So
So
do
you
you
have
do
to
that first?
record.
That's the first thing you do? You push the you are presenting?
Yep, that's what I
Okay.
did. I
Okay.
shared my screen first, then I started the recording. So,
Mhm.
welcome everybody. And then I say, I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I see. And
Mhm.
what's good is if you have this Grid View app, then the
Mhm.
kids don't have to have the Grid View app on their end because they're seeing what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like none of you have this app, but you're able to see the Grid View because I'm sharing my screen. So
Okay.
that works in that sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate everybody coming, and feel free to shoot me any questions you might have and share any ways that it worked out for you. And if you're running into trouble in the middle of your meeting, I had a teacher reach out to me right when her meeting was starting. She forgot how to separate the windows, and I walked her through it. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to help. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a
Thank
great
you
day,
so much, Dan.
everybody.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Dan.
You're
Stay
welcome.
safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna stop recording. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.